Hello, everybody. I am Dr. Shamshur Nihar, Associate Professor in Zoology, presently Commissioned Principal at SS Memorial College, Ranchi. Dear children, today I am going to give you a concept on induced breeding in fishes. So, we come to the topic induced breeding in fishes. Induced breeding or hypophysation, which is another name, is a technique by which the economically important fish which are not able to breed in captive condition are bred through artificial means. Induced breeding is a technique whereby ripe fish breeders are stimulated by pituitary hormone or any other synthetic hormone to breed in captive condition, and the stimulation results in timely release of sperms and eggs. Now, when we go through the history of induced breeding, we find that the technique of induced breeding was first evolved in Argentina by House in 1930. In the year 1934, Brazilians were succeeded in inducing breeding by pituitary extract. And this technique was also followed in America and in Russia. In India, first attempt of induced breeding was made by Khan in 1937 on which fish Sirenus mrigala. Later in 1955, Dr. Hiralal Chaudhary applied this technique on minor carp, that is Isomys dandricus, and Ramaswamy and Sundaraj, the first induced to breed Clarius batrachus and Heteropneustes fossilis, and the first successful induced breeding on major carp was done by Dr. Hira Lal Chaudhary in the year 1957, and the major carp was Cyrnus mrigala, Cyrnus reba, and Labio rohita. Parmeshwaran and Ali Kuni successfully bred the exotic Chinese carps Hypophthalmictis mollitrix and Dinopharyngodon idella in 1963. Now the question arises, why does not fish breed in captivity? That is, why don't they breed in captivity? Many cultural form fishes like Indian major carp, they do not breed in captivity. The reason being maybe the environmental, and that leads to hormonal. That certain environmental factors like photoperiods, rain, temperature, current of water influence the hormonal activity from pituitary and gonads, and disturbances arise, arising in environment may cause the insufficient release of hormone in captive condition, and thus the fish do not breed in captivity. Other factors like poor foods or insufficient natural foods or exposures to biocides or other pollutants, they also badly affect the maturation of ovary. Now, another question is why induced breeding is necessary for fish culture? It is necessary because it helps in giving us pure spawn of certain species of fishes under cultivation. Spawn collected from natural water is not pure always, as because some undesired wild species may come with them in culture pond, and sorting of pure seed is quite impossible at this stage. In later stage it is possible, but time consuming. It assures, second point is, it assures timely available of pure seed, whereas in nature the availability of seed is quite uncertain. Third point is, it can fulfill any quantity of demand in any time. Another point is, it also cuts short the holding potential spawners for long period in uncertain hope of their breeding in time. Many carps take their full maturity in confined water but do not breed. So it becomes essential to induce them to breed. And most important thing, the cost of expenditure is very low than the natural collections of spawn. Now we come to the technique of induced breeding. In this, the first point is collection of gland, collection of pituitary gland. Most suitable time for collection of pituitary gland in India is from May to July, as majority of the carps attain advanced stages of their maturity during this period. So, the pituitary gland, which is situated on the ventral side of the brain, just below the hypothalamus, is to be taken out. So, while taking out the gland, the dorsal side of the head is first chopped with a knife, and the brain, thus exposed, is carefully lifted out by detaching it from the nerves. In majority of the cyprinids, when the brain is lifted, the gland is left behind on the floor of the brain box. The durameter, the, the dura mater curving the gland is then cautiously removed using a fine needle and forceps. The exposed gland is then picked up intact without causing any damage to it, because damaged and broken glands result in loss of potency. Glands are also collected through foramen magnum. This is another method of collecting the gland. So, in this method of gland collection, the fish is required to be completely beheaded. While cut open the fish and collecting the pituitary gland, blood, it may bleeds. So, hence, fish should be wiped to clean the blood with cotton or tissue paper. Among the internal factors, sex stimulating hormone of the pituitary gland play a very important role in the development and maturation of gonads and spawning in fishes. Now, when the gland has been extracted out, then the second step to be followed is the preservation of gland. Glands can be preserved in 100% ethyl alcohol, or it can be preserved in acetone, and glycerine is also used as a preservative medium. Then comes to preparation of gland extract. Third third step is preparation of gland extract. So in this process, what is done is, you first, the preserved glands are weighed, and this is essential for accurate determination of the dose to be given according to the weight of the breeders. The weight of the gland may be taken individually or in a group, and to get a more accurate weight, a gland should be weighed after 2 minutes of its removal from alcohol. Then the pituitary extract should be prepared just before the time of injection. The quantity of gland required for injection is first calculated from the weight for the breeder to be injected. The glands are then selected and the required quantity of gland is taken out of the vials. And the alcohol is allowed to evaporate, and if the glands are preserved in alcohol, and acetone dried glands are straight away taken from the vials for maceration. The glands are then macerated in a tissue homogenizer by adding a measured quantity of distilled water or common salt solution or any physiological solution which is isotonic with the blood of the recipient fish. The most successful results of induced breeding in the Indian major carps have so far been obtained with distilled water and 0.3% common salt solution. After homogenization, the suspension is transferred into a centrifuge tube. While transferring the homogenate, the homogenate should be shaken well so that settled down gland particles being mixed with the solution coming into the centrifuge tube. The extract is in the tube is centrifuged and the supernatant fluid is drawn into a hypodermic syringe for injection. The pituitary extract can also be prepared in bulk and preserved in glycerine. One part of extract with two parts of glycerine. This is the way how it is preserved in glycerine before the fish breeding season, so that preparing extracting time before injection is avoided. The stock extract should always be stored in a refrigerator or in ice. Now, the next step is the selection of brooders. So, those brooders are selected which are healthy and ripe. Usually, 2 to 4 years of age is preferred, and weighing 1 to 5 kg of weight. In order to maintain the breeders in healthy condition, they are fed with mustard oil cake and rice bran at the rate of 1% of the body weight for a few months prior to breeding season. Now then comes the process of injection, that is injecting the brooders. The, the pituitary extract which had been prepared is now then administered into the body of breeders by means of hypodermic syringe, either intramuscular or intraperitoneal. First, determination of correct dose is done. So, determination of correct dose of pituitary extract is given to the breeders, and it depends upon the size and the state of maturity of the recipient, that is the breeders, as well as upon the state of maturity of the donor of the glands. So upon this depends the correct pituitary dose. But usually the female is given a provocative dose of, that is preliminary dose of 2 to 3 milligram per kg of body weight. This is the preliminary dose or the provocative dose. But this preliminary dose is not given to the male. After an interval of about 6 hours, a second dose of about 5 to 8 milligram per kg of body weight of female is given to the female only. But at this point of time, when the female are getting the second dose, the male partner is given the first dose at the rate of 2 to 3 milligram per kg of body weight. For intramuscular injection, the fish is laid on its side while held in hand net, and the needle is inserted either in the caudal peduncle region or in the shoulder. For intraperitoneal injection, the injections are given at the base of the paired pectoral fins, but it is generally avoided because expert hand is needed for this, otherwise it can puncture the heart of the fish. Now after this, spawning takes place. So after injection to the brooders, the set of brooders are released into breeding hapa. A breeding hopper is fine netting rectangular shaped structure held by four bamboo poles, one at each corner, and closed meshed mosquito net is usually preferred for this purpose as its mesh will allow a good circulation of water and will also not let the laid eggs and milk escape through the meshes. The hopper measures about 3 meter into 1.5 meter into 1 meter for breeders weighing 3 to 5 kgs. The height of the hopper should remain about 20 centimeter above the level of water, and the roof of the hopper may be opened or closed. The spawning takes place within 3 to 6 hours following the second dose. So it may turns out the midnight if the second dose is given in the evening. Successful induced breeding results in the spawn of fertilized eggs. And the fertilized eggs, how do you recognize the fertilized eggs? The fertilized eggs are transparent, pearl like, whereas unfertilized eggs are opaque or whitish. So, in this way, one can distinguish between fertilized and unfertilized eggs. Now, second next topic is factors influencing the spawning of fishes. So there are certain factors which influence the spawning of fishes, and these are temperature, water, turbidity of water, and light. Temperature around 24 to 31 degrees Celsius with cloudy days and rainy periods is very much preferred. Light drizzling, heavy rain is ideal. In absence of rain, artificial showers are used. In case of water, flowing water is preferred, and the turbidity of water should be 100 ppm to 1000 ppm. And light is also one of the important factors which influence the spawning. Now, let's find out whether there is any substitute for fish pituitary gland or not. So there are various substitutes for pituitary gland, and one of them is HCG, that is organon. It has been reported that Labiorhita could be bred by injecting HCG at the rate of 600 IU per kg body weight in few cases. In the case of silver carp, successful spawning could be achieved by injecting HCG or organon alone at the rate of 630 to 660 IU, and also with HCG 240 IU plus 20 milligram carp pituitary per kg body weight. So HCG is one of the substitute for pituitary gland. Another substitute is cyanohorine. What is cyanohorine? It is a chorionic gonadotropin plus mammalian pituitary gland. It is a combination of it. So cyanohorine along with carp pituitary gland has proved to be successful in breeding rohu and silver carp, but it has failed to induce spawning when tried alone in rohu. Another most important substitute is ovaprim. It is the new inducing hormone for fish, an absolute substitute of pituitary extract, though it's a bit costly. Overprem is far superior to carp pituitary in inducing spawning in several species of carp. Some of the advantages are, we'll see, one of them is that the rate of fertilization and hatching were generally found to be higher in case of overprim treated fish when it is compared with a pituitary gland treated fish. Another point is the size of eggs after water hardening was always considerably bigger in overprim treated fish as compared to that of pituitary treatment. This probably indicates complete development of eggs. Third point is the spawning response time was almost equal to both overprim and pituitary treatments. Another point is the hatchlings obtained from overprim treatment appeared to be healthier than those produced with pituitary. However, this aspect is being confirmed. Now, based on the observations of the present study, the dosage of overprim required for female brood fish of various fishes has been determined, and they are as follows. In case of Katla, the dose varies from 0.40 to 0.50 ml per kg body weight. In case of Rohu, the dose varies from 0.30 to 0.40 ml per kg. In case of Mrigal, the dose varies from 0.25 to 0.30 ml per kg. In case of silver carp, the dose vary from 0.50 to 0.70 ml per kg. Then in case of grass carp, the dose varies from 0.50 to 0.70 ml per kg body weight. And the dose in case of big head carp is determined to be 0.50 ml per kg. And those of bata 0.50 ml per kg, and those of in case of fringe lipped carp, the same 0.50 ml per kg. So although the dosage required for males of various species has not been standardized, it appears that males of most species respond to 0.10 to zero point 0.2 ml per kg body weight. The post-spawning mortality of overprim treated fish was negligible due to relatively less handling in comparison to pituitary treatment. So this is another important point in favor of overprim. And another favorable point in case of overprim is that overprim does not require refrigerated storage and hence can be preserved at ambient temperature. So these are the various advantages in favor of overprim. So we find that overprim is one of the best option or best substitute for pituitary gland. So this was all about induced breeding in fish. And for further studies, you can refer the book Jhingran, Fish and Fisheries.